we are still here, Radio Row, as it's called,
yes.
At the Los Angeles Convention Center.
It's a little busier today.
It is.
A little busier today than it was the first couple of days. Yeah.
We're busier today.
Yes,
I mean, we already having our first esteemed guests. We're about to liven up the show right now with one of the premier prospects in the 2022 NFL draft, and that is Kayvon Thibodeaux from the University of Oregon. Edge. I'm old enough to remember where it was outside linebacker, defensive end. They call them edge guys now. And he is joining us from downtown L.A. on behalf of Arrowhead Water and Ready Refresh. Kayvon, how you doing, man? Good to talk to you.
Man, I'm doing good. I'm blessed. Thank you guys for having me on.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
It is our pleasure. Talk to us about what this process is like for you. You put some amazing film, some amazing tape out there at the University of Oregon. Your work speaks for itself, but what gets fascinating is, like, once you stop playing, the evaluation takes on a life of its own, even though you didn't play anymore. So what is it that you feel like you still need to do or prove going into the draft, or improve upon even?
I think I just got to be my best self. You know, at this point, I realize I'm not in competition with anybody else. It's about me versus me. So as long as I can literally do everything in my power to be the best player possible, then everything will be all right. You know, there is a lot of speculation out there, but I feel like the work that I'm putting in and the things that I'm doing, I'm very truthful and I'm honest with myself. So I'm not working on the things that I'm good at. I'm working on the things that I'm bad at or I'm deficient in.
Which are?
Yeah, I was going to say, let's hear it.
What are those? I have no idea what those are.
Yeah, what are those things?
Well, see, this is the thing. It's all about cultivating what you have. You know, if you feel like, oh, I'm good at that, so I don't need to work on it, or, oh, you know what, that's not what I do, so it doesn't matter. For me, everything matters, right? So from knowing the game to watching film to getting bigger, stronger, faster, more technique. I'm watching my old film to see, okay, well, what are these teams looking for? I'm talking to GMs, and every time they're questioning me, I'm also questioning them. And not to say like, oh, I want to know, but I really want to know, what is it that you guys are looking for? And then what is it that within these next, or now we probably only got a month left or half a month, but, you know, within that 8 weeks of training, what is it that I need to work on?
Well, we're 2 minutes in, Michael. I don't think you have a problem with the interview.
Oh, no. I don't have a problem.
I think the interview is going to be fine.
I don't have a problem at all, and the teams won't either. And I like that you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. When you tell them, if they ask you, hey, what can you bring to a franchise, how do you respond to that question? What can you bring to a franchise?
Well, I bring more than a player. You know, when you look at me and you take me for example, you're not just getting a guy who give his all, who's gonna work, who's gonna be disciplined, who's gonna do everything in his power to be great at his position, but you're also getting a guy who's gonna bring the team with him. I'm going to challenge guys. I'm going to challenge the thought. I'm going to challenge the culture, right? So I realize that whatever team I go to, obviously they won't be on the winning side, you know, of the league. So I'll have to be a guy who comes in and sets the tone from the jump. And I have no problem in doing that because that's how God has kind of cultivated me to be. And for me, it's just it all goes into, you know, my end goal, right? My end goal is to be one of the greatest football players to ever play the game. It's to inspire, it's to educate. So if I can just, you know, leave my legacy and leave whatever program that I'm at better than where I found it, you know, I'll be satisfied.
Look here, Kayvon. I'm just going to be honest with you.
This may be the time. I mean, yeah, this is the time.
Listen, man, we feel like we've known you forever now. I'm gonna share something with you. When you want to talk about your legacy or your end goals, my son Mason, my 13-year-old son Mason, and I, we enjoy franchise mode in Madden. And let's just say I may have turned around a certain team and drafted you with the #1 overall pick, and you went on to have the career sack record and the single season sack record as well. So I can personally attest, Kayvon, that great things are ahead of you in the professional ranks, that you will go down as one of the greatest pass rushers in NFL history if Madden franchise mode is any indicator.
Well, this is the thing, you know, it's about determination. And of course, there's a lot of, I've had people question my fire and my desire, but, you know, the thing about it is, how can you play the game, be educated, know the game, the ins and outs, and be able to teach the game without loving the game, you know? So for me, you know, I'm going to put everything that I've grown, everything that I've learned, and it's going to really come full circle, and I'm going to be able to display that at the combine and, you know, through the pre-draft process.
How much how much do you pay attention? You responded to it. How much do you pay attention to what's said by analysts and evaluators and talking heads? And B, what goes into the decision to respond to it? Because I'm sure there might be people saying, hey, just ignore it, tune out the noise. But you've chosen to address it head on. Why?
Because, well, see, for me, I don't really watch TV. I don't like fake stuff. I don't watch horror movies. I don't watch anything that's made up. Right? Why?
Really?
Because life is not made up, and people try to escape life, but not me. Right? So, for instance, the media, that's my entertainment, right? And sometimes I question credibility, and I only say that because people, I think a good scapegoat, right, is to talk about something that we don't have the answer to, right? So, for example, if you talk about fire, right? Fire, like I've had a couple of interviews and I've said, fire has to do with your heart, right? And I can't tell someone, right, what's in their heart. Only they can live it. So it's easy to say we don't know where his fire is. Why? Because you're right. You don't know, because I know. You know what I mean? So as long as I believe in myself and I keep my head down, God has brought me this far, and he's not going to turn his back on me now.
I love
so
this.
As long as I just keep him ahead of me, I'm gonna be all right.
Dude, bro, I'm drafting you now.
He said he doesn't. This reminded me of Trey Lance last year.
Man,
he said he doesn't watch stuff that's fake. You got to watch Training Day. That sounds like Lonzo.
Yeah,
I read this because it entertains me.
Yeah, that's right. Media is entertaining.
I love that.
It's so good. And so, where do you think? And I'm asking you to speak for somebody who is critical of you without a lot of information. But what do you think they saw? Where does that come from, in your opinion? Where they say, hey, he lacks fire, or he doesn't always give it his all. Where do you think that's coming from?
This is the thing. This is the thing about film, right? And this is what people don't understand. When you come back from an injury and you play football, the only person who has to battle that injury is you, right? So when you look at the crowd, people are telling me I'm stiff. Well, if you sprain your ankle, obviously, and you try to come back early, obviously you won't be able to bend that ankle just as much, right? But I could have been a guy, who sits out or who says the NFL is next, so let me milk it. But for me, it's that passion for my team and the guys that I've been doing it with. Why would I want to give up this opportunity that I'll never get back? You know what I mean? So of course, I played games where every game, no game a person is 100%, right? But especially when you come off an injury, you have decisions to be made. And me, I made the decision to come back when I did, or even earlier. If you watch, there was a couple games where I just wanted to get in the game just to see what I could do, whether it was 1 play, 4 plays, 5 plays, because I'm that hungry. I feel like I can contribute to my team with 1 play, so whatever it is I can do to contribute, I was going to do it, so, but that's something that I know, and I don't need to explain to anybody, because my teammates know, and any team that drafts me, they're going to know how serious I take this. And then you got to remember, I just met Chris Carter, and he broke something down to me. He said there's about 64 people, 64 starting DNs, right? So if I get drafted, hopefully I'll be a starter. Hopefully I get drafted top 5. And that means I'm one of 64 people in the world. 64 people in the world. Right? So for me, it's bigger than me, right? I'm representing everybody who's looking at it. So this is way bigger than me, right? Yeah. So, and I understand that, and I have a love for that, I have a passion for that, and I realize that God put me in this position because I have the opportunity to change the dynamic of my family forever, for years on end. After my name is done, and I've done everything I did, and I hang up my cleats, my legacy will live on, right? So when you talk about fire, why would I play the game? Why would I put my brain, my body, my family through this for any other reason other than I love the game?
Where's your maturity and passion and perspective come from? What's the source of that?
Real life. I grew up with a single mother. I grew up in a home where we lived under the poverty line. I went from Dorsey High School to Oaks Christian. I seen what it was like to go to school with no resources, with no help, where teachers were just going in just to get paid, where they didn't care whether you went to class or didn't go to class. Then I went to a school where it was the tuition's $40,000 a year, where every kid goes to college, where there's no thought of not going to college, right? And for me, it's like, wow, that's resources, right? That's help. That's everything that the city is lacking. but we look over it. So it's up to guys like me and guys like, you know, us across anybody that's from LA to really come back and pay it forward, right? For me, I live through the future. When I say I live through the future, that means through the kids. So for me, I've started the Dream Foundation. The Dream Foundation, it stands, DREAM is an acronym, right? It's JREAM, right? It's Journey to Readiness and Enrichment Through Academic Mentorship. And the whole point is that I want to have people who look like me have resources, opportunities, and have the support system around them to do whatever it is they want to do. I feel like God put me in this position to show others that this is my gift. Now you have to hone into your gift, and we're going to help you cultivate it and help you become who it is you want to be.
Man, I love your perspective. You're here today on behalf of Arrowhead Water Ready Refresh. Tell me about that, and it's a brand that started in LA. Tell me how you got connected with them.
So, you know, Arrowhead Water's been around for over 125 years. Obviously, we all know its name. You know, it's 100% spring water, right? And one thing that I stand for is principles. And one of the principles that I realize as a human is we are of the earth. And with 100% spring water, there's no added minerals, there's no additives, there's nothing that you need to boost, right? Because back in the day, people survived off of pure natural spring water. So now, I feel like it was the best thing to bring the Arrowhead and Ready Refresh conjunction, because Ready Refresh is going to deliver the healthy hydration wherever I am. So it's like, why would I leave my house when the water can come directly to me and I can always be hydrated?
You know, whatever team gets him, the media in his whatever city he goes to, he's going to be an instant favorite with the press corps wherever you go. You mentioned hopefully going in the top 5. I live for mock drafts. I mean, I nerd out on mock drafts. I'm fascinated by it. But I can imagine how, you know, frustrating it could be if you let it to see, okay, exactly, you're not worried about what people are projecting, or are you competing, you know, for people in terms of where you go?
What I learned was the greatest thing, as not in just football, but as a man and in life, is consistency. If you have consistency and discipline in your life, you will go further. Right. So if you guys know the stat lines, you guys know who I am, you guys know where I come from, check the consistency. Right. So I'm not versus anyone. Right. It's about the consistency of the work that I put out and the consistency of the man that I'm going to be. So as long as, like I said, I stay on my path and I continue to grow and go forward, everything else will speak for itself.
Well, and I totally respect that. I think I was looking at it more from the standpoint of, and you've mentioned God's plan for your life and how far He's brought you not to leave you. You're definitely speaking our language. So on one hand, from a competitor, you know, I imagine you want to be the first name called or the first DN or whatever it is called.
For me, you either make history or be history. Right. And I don't mean to keep cutting you off.
No, that's okay.
You're right. Being the number 1 pick will be history, and that will go down as you know, one of my greatest accomplishments. But I also know that I can't control it, right? So if I worry about the things that I can't control, I'll miss it, right? If I keep reaching for the stars, I'll miss those steps right in front of me. Yeah. Right, and that's the problem. We always look for that great goal, but it's like, if I don't put the work in today, tomorrow, and the next day, it won't even matter. The mock drafts won't matter because I won't get drafted. Yeah. No, I was just wondering, like, if you look at it like you just want to land in the best situation, because, you know, as a person of faith, you may go 5 or 7 or 8, and it may seem like, oh man, he slipped in the draft, but you ended up right where you were supposed to be. Right. You know? That's right. And that's the power. That's the power of just belief and having confidence. And as long as I talk to some of the great now, it's so surreal now that I've got to talk to people like Ray Lewis, Chris Carter, Bobby Wagner. The list goes on, but it's not about where you get picked, right? And I had said this in the interview. I believe in, they asked me, do I care what team I go to, you know, depending on, I'm going to believe in whatever team believes in me, right? So if they decide that I'm the guy that they want to lead them, you know, in a season, let's do it. Oh, did we lose you?
It's just frozen there for a second.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe he's still frozen. Yeah, I think we may have.
Did we lose Kayvon Gary?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think, oh, man, he was so good.
That is so disappointing.
He's tremendous.
That was so disappointing. We got him back? Okay.
Oh, wow.
Hey, can you finish that thought? We lost you about halfway through.
Where'd you lose me?
No, you were saying you got a chance to talk to Bobby Wagner,
Ray Lewis,
and Ray
Bobby
Lewis.
Wagner, Chris
And it's
Cole.
not about where you get picked.
So I got to talk to all these great guys, and they really let me know that, you know, and Ray Lewis was one, and this one was so crazy because it was like, I've never, like I told you, I grew up in poverty. I grew up, you know, with a dream. I've never been to a professional game. You know, these things have never been, you know, accessible to me, right? So now for guys to know my name and to see me and then to have a real message for me and believe in what I say, and they all told me the same thing. They said, you can't control where you go. All you can control is the work you put in when you get there. So for me, whatever team believes in me, I'm going to believe in them wholeheartedly, and I'm going to help and do everything in my power to help change the dynamic of whatever the team is and take us to the promised land.
Bro, I could talk to this dude all day.
I
You let him go.
No, I was gonna.
We gonna have to control ourselves
As a matter of fact,
and let you go, because otherwise we be with you all.
The day after, bruh,
the day all day. That's why I said you got to stop me.
Hey, I'm telling you, the day after draft day, just put us on your schedule. Wherever you go, we will find you. Whatever team you go to, and we gonna talk about, like, you know, that journey, that step of being drafted #1 overall, and then what's happening with you. Okay, that's a date. That's a date. The day after the draft.
We appreciate you, man.
We're gonna lock it in. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much for blessing the show, man. Like,
appreciate you, man.
Can't wait to see what you do on and off the field, man.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.